Well, hello, General Hospital Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Wednesday, January the 31st, 2024. Wednesday, January 31st. Please, everybody, if you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe, subscribe. Okay, it's pretty good. Pretty good today. I did not cry though, but it was definitely, absolutely, positively a good. I'm going to just deal with the good stuff and then go back to the minor stuff, okay? Because we all care about Esme, Trina, and Spencer, okay? So Spencer gets back to the room. There's no Trina. He's going, Trina, Trina, somebody's on board. And he turns and Esme comes strolling from the side. And he looks at her and he bum rushes her, grabs her by her neck, pushes her up against the wall there. And it's in, where's Trina? Where's Trina? She's like, you better loosen your grip, because if you kill me, Trina is going to die. You'll never know where Trina is, right? And so he's like, I will kill you if you hurt Trina. And she said, well, then if you kill me, then she for sure is going to die. So she goes, here's what you're going to do. You're going to take your hands from off my neck, okay? And then we're going to do this my way. So he does, and she says, she goes to her backpack and she says, well, I think then they cut to Trina. She's in like a boiler room, masking tape, Esme comes prepared. Esme got zip ties. So she's zip tied up, but she sees this screw that's, that's not all the way in a pipe. So Trina gets her way over there and starts trying to wear down the zip tie, right? So now we go back to Spencer and Esme. She's got his arms zip tied, and now she's got his legs crisscross zip tight. And so she told him, she says, you are going to tell me where your father is and where my son is. He said, I don't know where my father is and where my brother is. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you anyway. She says, and he goes, and like I said, if you hurt Trina, she goes, Trina is fine for now. She's a part of my plan. She's a crucial part of the plan. See, I'm going to need her to tell Laura that I have you. See, because Laura is going to get me my baby back. And Spencer's like, how do you think that's going to happen? My grandmother does not know where my father is. She couldn't find him before. And so he says, she can't find him now. He says, and Esme, the more I hear you talk, the more I am beginning to know I made the right choice giving Ace to my father. She goes, well, I'm sure your father would rather have two sons alive versus one. And she takes the syringe out. She goes, you know I'm good at getting drugs. She said, a little bit of this makes you cooperative. Half of this, well, let's just say it incapacitates you. All of it, oh, it's gonna stop your heart. So Spencer says, my father knows I will give up my life to save my brother. I'll give up my life, Esme. So she goes, well, then, and he goes, and I'm going to kill you, you know? And so she goes, well, then guess what? Then both our lives will be gone and nobody will know where to look for Trina. So I guess you don't care about her life. And Spencer's like, oh God, that kind of got him, right? So she says, I'm sick of talking to you. Let's give these drugs a try. She goes and gets the syringe and she's getting ready to she's over closer to Spencer and she wants to inject him. And Trina walks in with a wrench. And she's not that close to him. She's still by the bed. That's right. And Trina says, leave Spencer or get away from Spencer. And Esme looks at her. She goes, oh, you came to save your little boyfriend. Well, think fast. As she threw the backpack and it knocked the wrench out of Trina's hand. But then Esme, I think at that point, Esme bum rushes Trina onto the bed because Esme's on top at first. And she's choking Trina, and Spencer's like, Trina. And so then Trina ends up getting on top of Esme, and she's like, I am so sick of you, and she's choking Esme. But Esme gets her foot, her high heel boot foot, between her and Trina, and she kicks Trina off of her, right? Trina hits the ground, and then Esme goes and jumps on top of her. She is going to, let me see, she jumps on top of her. But what happened? How did Trina get initially, no, Esme tries to attack Trina now. As they're tussling, Trina gets the syringe knocked out of Esme's hand. That's what happens. Then they go down. Esme's on top of Trina on the ground. So now she's fishing around because Esme's trying to choke her. She gets a hold of the wrench and she clocks Esme on the head. Now Esme's knocked out bleeding. She gets up, Spencer. So he goes, oh, you saved me. So she goes, hold on. So she goes and gets some scissors, cuts the zip ties off of Spencer. And you want to know what I'm thinking, everybody? I know it's one of y'all gonna get that syringe full of drugs. I know one of you gonna pick that up because she gonna use that later. No, and I'm like, I know the wrench is going with you, right? And the scissors you used to cut Spencer loose. All of that. They leave in the room with Esme, knocked out. Esme wasn't gonna be knocked out for long. We know the way soap operas write, right? So as they're getting ready to go out the door, everybody, you know that door locks from the outside. You mean to tell me you have a maniac on board? Not only did you not give her a little jab with the drug she was going to jab you with, because I would say, okay, just a couple drops, right? Because, hey, worth a try. I wouldn't give her a couple drops. Because she was going to give Spencer way more than a couple drops, but I'll give her a couple drops. Plus, I'm going to zip tie her. She had zip ties still in the backpack. Why did they not zip tie her hands and zip tie her feet? Where did they think they were going to go on that boat? So, unless I knew how to get to the life raft quickly, I'm still incapacitating this maniac, this psychopath, this killer. They did nothing. Esme was the only one restraining Trina and duct taping her mouth. See, she got masking, or that was electrical tape. Esme's mouth should have been electrical taped. She should have been bound hand and feet, and she should have been zip tied to something to keep her anchored in that room. The drugs, the scissors, the wrench, all would have been. Actually, I'd have taken the whole backpack, throw them in the backpack, take it with you, and then lock the door on the, because it locks on the outside to the estate. But nobody could do that. So they get to the deck and they hear something, boo, boo. They go, what is that? Oh, that's not a tugboat, but some kind of boat. So they're like, we're over here. Watch, it's going to be Laura, Curtis, Portia. Now, how they got from Port Charles to Paris in under an hour, only in GH. But we don't know it's them, but my guess is it's definitely them, right? That's my guess. So they're trying to wave the boat, and then all of a sudden, Spencer, he leans forward, because she stabs him in the back with the syringe that they should have had with them, right? And Trina's like, Spencer. And he goes to the ground and she runs over to him. What did you do? What did you do to him? She says, I only gave him enough to keep him docile. I saved the rest for you. And then she goes lunging towards Trina. See, they make Esme with this superhuman ability sometimes, right? Except when Spencer had his hands around her neck ready to choke her out, she wasn't superhuman. And I guess she wasn't superhuman when Trina was getting the best of her, but she's able to, oh, I'm coming, you know. So Trina's now up against the stairway and said, get off of me, get off of me. And Spencer's drugged and he's looking up and he sees his Trina. Esme's about to inject her, so he musters up enough strength and he comes from behind and he grabs her. And Trina's against the stairs and Esme's in the middle and Spencer is trying to pry her off Trina. So he gets her away from Trina and he's still, now the drugs are affecting him. But he's stronger than Esme because they didn't make her have superhuman strength. So now he wraps his arms around her and he throws him and her overboard. Or look, he's drugged. He could have fell. He may have meant to push her and throw her, but he went too. Because right now he's incoherent. And Trina's like, no, and she's looking and she sees him. Spencer! They both hit the ground. So we all know, everybody, that he's not dead. Come on. He'll be back in 4 months. I almost hate the fact that we know that, right? I think that's what kept me from crying is he'll be back in 4 months. Even if it's a different actor, which it should be because Nicholas Chavez is too good for TV, soap operas, for daytime TV. He could do primetime and a bunch of movies, okay? So Esme is in the water, but what do we know about Esme, everybody? Esme is part mermaid. 100% part mermaid. Oh, that girl's gonna turn up no time within this 4 months. But oh, she's gonna turn up. She ain't dead either. She's just not. Evil don't die like that. But they're not gonna find either one of their bodies. Okay? Either one. So that's how they ended or made the final scene for Nicholas Chavez for the next 4 months. So suspenseful, it's pretty good, pretty good. Now let's go to the next action. Let's go to Sunny's Island, Puerto Rico. Well, the shots, they did end up shooting in the house. Shooting at Sunny, shooting at Ava, right? So Dex ends up securing the grounds, him and some of the other bodyguards. But the shooter, of course, when it's all said and done, someone says, find that shooter and bring him to me. They don't find the shooter. But what Dex says is, Sonny told him, this shooter knew my island inside and out and knew operations. This was well thought out and well planned. So my reason is, for one, they probably already scoped out his island, because let's face it, he last minute decided to take Ava there. So it's not like they knew Sonny Corinthos was coming to the island. Sonny rarely goes to the island, seriously. And look, since that's where he and Nina got married, he probably wouldn't have been going there anytime in the next year or two. But somebody knew his plans. So there's an inside something or other, right? So, needless to say, the grounds are secure. Ava's like, I got to see my child. But Sonny had Avery and the nanny and the bodyguards. They were all on his phone surveillance. He says, look, no, Avery's fine. Look, Ava. She's fine there with the nanny, and she's fine with the bodyguards. And so she goes, okay, well, this is, I gotta physically see my child. He goes, fine. So once everything was secured, he has another bodyguard take Ava to see Avery, and he said, you make sure you don't let her out of your sight. He goes, yes, Mr. Corinthos. So she goes to see Avery, and then he's talking to Dex, about, somebody knew, had an insight on this, and we're gonna find out, who you find out who did this, right? And so Dex came back as like, boss, they left without a trace. They had a well-planned exit. Okay. So Ava comes back and she says, Sonny, this is, he goes, look, you all are fine. Everything's okay. She goes, but who do you think did this? He goes, look, they were either after you or me. Because remember, we still don't know what's going on with Ava, right? They were either after you or me. But either way, you're okay. Everybody's okay. So she's, a little frazzled, but come on. Ava was a mobster herself. She knows the deal with that. So that's how that worked. And she says, Avery asked me, what was all that noise? And I told her it was fireworks. And she goes, oh, that sufficed her. She's watching Frozen again. Because, they kind of have that joke that Donna and Avery, their favorite movie's Frozen. So she said she's watching Frozen. So Sonny was, content that his daughter is fine, right? So then there's this crazy reporter that just loved Nina, trying to get some dirt, right? And first Nina was, no, I have no comment. Hey, wish them all the best. And she just, so in the end, because the reporter kept saying how Nina changed everything single-handedly, Nina. And all you got to do is start appealing to Nina's vanity. So Nina said, that's all I'm going to tell you on the record. But off the record, oh, then she tore into Drew. And so apparently, I guess she said a whole lot more, because as the reporter was leaving, Nina said, I look forward to reading your article. And then at the end of the show, the reporter walks into Carly's office and says, I'm here from whatever column. And Carly says, oh, yes, and I would like to do an interview on you. So Carly says, well, you know what? I need to clear that with communications, right? And then we can have our interview. We can schedule it. She goes, well, I also want to see Mr. Drew Kane, because I want to find out so much how Nina Reeves was fired as editor-in-chief of a thriving magazine, so that the owner of Aurora, Drew Kane, could hire his girlfriend with no experience. And Carly looks at her, and I'm like, okay, it's about to go down. Right? So they didn't show what happened there. But we also had Carly brought in, before the reporter came, Carly brought in Maxie, Sasha, and Brooklyn. And they all kind of were standoffish to her, like, here you are, you don't know what's going on. And Nina got fired. Nina was great. You know how Sasha is towards Nina. Now, Brooklyn really could care less about Nina. But still, how is this supposed to work? So she says, I know you all have concerns. And so one of them was Sasha says, but you have no experience running a magazine. And so Cardi says, well, that's true. She says, however, neither did Nina Reeves. She says, actually, Julian Jerome gave her the magazine, put editor in control, editor, so she could run it to the ground. But it didn't work that way because she had help. And Carly looked at Maxie, right? And Maxie said, she's 100% right about that. She goes, she is right about that. Uh-huh. And so she says, now, she says, I am going to, I'm going to actually do my best, and everything I touch, it ends up being a success. She says, I don't know if you all knew this, because she says, and I value our relationship with deception. She says, I don't know if you all knew this, but I was part owner of Deception in the 90s. And Maxie looked at Brooklyn and looked at Sasha, said, yes, she absolutely was. She says, and Deception ran very smoothly. She says, I wasn't there that long, but Deception I have a soft spot for Deception. So then Tracy comes in, being Tracy, trying to cut Carly down, somebody that doesn't know anything about a magazine or fashion, as you could see. And Carly was dressed perfectly fine, right? And so Carly just says, well, Tracy. And Tracy says, I'm the one that makes all the decisions. And Carly says, I'm aware of that. And she says, and I was just telling the girls here that we're getting ready to put our April magazine to bed. And I guess April, the Crimson comes out every 2 months because the April issue is the biggest issue of the year. And then Maxie says, yes, second only to September, or September 2nd. April's the biggest, then September, right? And so Cardi says, so, Tracy, you don't want to deal with me, then that means you don't want Deception to be featured in our April issue. And so Tracy says, there are other magazines out there. You're not the only game in town. We will take our business to one of the competitor magazines. And Cardi says, oh, see, they're all getting ready to put their April issues to bed as well. They are not going to what now? Push aside Fusion? Push aside Enchantment? Staples in the cosmetics industry for Deception? He says, they're not going to do that. And Maxie, Brooklyn, and Sasha looked at Tracy like, no, they're not. And we're not that big, right? And so Tracy says, okay. All right. Carly says, so Tracy, here's the contract. And let's just forge through with this. And she says, you know what? I'm not going to sign a contract because your track record is not proven. So you prove your numbers and circulation can stay up to an acceptable level, then we will consider some type of formal arrangement. So Carly says, well, you know what? I could see that. I could see that. But then again, no. She says, no. Like I said, everybody's putting their April issues to bed, and deception is going to go without any advertising space. And Maxie looks at, Tracy, and Brooklyn says, Granny, Maxie says, we need this, Tracy. We cannot go with no publicity till September. So Tracy says, okay, you know what? I'll go with you guys, but you give me 8%. You give me 8%. And what was the 8%? 8% off of advertising, right? And Cardi says, ooh, no, 8% is not acceptable. She says, the rate that the discount that I was gonna offer you, no. Mm-mm. And so Maxie says, Carly, you haven't even given us a number on the discount. Because she was gonna give a discount on the rate that Deception was already paying. Carly said, I'll give you 3%. So Maxie says, 3%, huh? Well, that sounds fair. And Tracy says, absolutely not. That's when Tracy went to 8. She goes, 8. And Cardi says, no. Mm-mm. So she goes, 4. Tracy goes, 7. Or somehow the way it worked out, the back and forth, Carly ended, she was the one that came to 5, right? She goes, 5%. So Tracy looked at her, and Carter said, that's my final offer. And Maxie and Sasha, they were looking at Tracy. And so Tracy goes, fine, fine, you have a deal. And Carter says, great. So then she whips the contract out of the folder. She says, no, go ahead and sign the contract. And Tracy said, wait a minute. This contract can't possibly have the terms that we just agreed upon. And Cardi said, oh, yes, it does. Tracy said, you had this drawn up in advance. Cardi says, absolutely, I did. So Tracy said, well played. Well played, meaning you steered me into this. And Tracy, she completely respected that. She was just like, okay. So she signs her name. She gives Carly back the contract. She says, I am going to be keeping my eye on the circulating numbers. I'm going to keep an eye on how well our ads do. Carly says, absolutely. Wouldn't expect nothing less, Tracy. So Tracy walks out, and they looked at Carly, and Brooklyn said, Carly, Tracy may not like you, but after what you just did with these negotiations, I'm going to tell you, she respects you. And so Carly said, thank you. So she's showing the lady, she goes, I'm going to, legal will have the final draft. I mean, your copies of the finalized contract to you this afternoon. So she's walking everybody to the door. She says, look, I know each and every one of you have ties to Nina, except for Brooklyn. I don't know why she said that. Brooklyn has none. And she says, and so Maxie says, yeah, she's my son's, she's related to my sons. Cardi says, I know that. And she says, and Sasha? She goes, yeah, and Nina and I are free. She goes, and I know that too, Sasha. She says, I want you both all to know that I won't be putting you all in the middle. And so Sasha says, good, as long as I'm not made to choose between the two of you, because let's face it, Sasha likes Carly too. Okay? Sasha likes Carly too. So Maxie says, No problem, Carly. She said, and by the way, just to let you know, I may love Nina because she's family, but I do not like what she did to you and Drew. I do not like it. And Sasha really didn't give too much of an expression, but Brooklyn was like, yeah, me too. Right? And Cardi says, thank you, Maxie. Thank you. But look, we're in here. This is all business. And Maxie said, that's right. And in business, I'm looking forward to a great business relationship. So Carly sits down at her desk and she is a happy camper because she did well with handling Tracy Quartermain. And if you notice, Lucy wasn't brought into that meeting. You notice that? I did. Because Lucy would have been, no, Carly, no. Oh my goodness. Horrible night. But Tracy came in, no, I know I'm the decision maker. And the meeting wasn't held with Tracy excluded. Obviously, Tracy knew the meeting existed. She just came in a little bit late. Or Tracy Quartermain fashion, right? So that's what happened today. We had some, Lois shows up to the Metro Court to talk to Olivia. Olivia was blowing her off at first, saying, I'm busy, Lois. You're at my place of business. She said, you know what, Olivia? You have been avoiding me since New Year's Eve. No, I haven't. I'm a busy businesswoman. And she goes, yeah. She goes, and this is not the place to talk to me. We could talk at home. She says, I have been trying to talk to you at home. She says, every time I catch a glimpse of you in the house, I yell for you, I try to catch up to you, and you disappear. She says, do they have secret tunnels in the house? So finally, Olivia says, fine, fine, we'll talk. So they go out into the little court area, where everybody sits kind of as this cove, and they're talking, and Lois, says, I am sorry. She goes, you broke my confidence. Now, come on, everybody. If you remember the story correctly, Lois guessed the truth. Olivia never told her the truth. Lois guessed it. She just told her don't tell when she guessed it. Well, ain't your confidence. And so she goes, Sonny had a right to know, Liv. And she goes, yeah, but who were you to say that he had a right to know? And my whole thing is that who were you to say he didn't, Olivia? I wanted to keep let's wait till Carly gets a hold of you, Olivia. Right? So then they do their usual Bensonhurst. Their little argument escalates more. Olivia goes up to her office, and Nina's in her office. And Olivia says, what are you doing in my office again? She goes, mine is being painted. And she goes, again? See, no. Then you use another one because there's more than two offices up there in the executive suite. I wouldn't let her intrude like that. I just really wouldn't. Nina's not trustworthy. Nina could be planting anything on Olivia's computer because she sure the heck was deleting stuff off of there, right? So anyway, she and Lois is arguing, right in front of Nina. And Nina's listening to the whole thing. And she goes, you had to always make yourself needed to Sonny. You had to be first. And so she goes, Liv, that is not true. But he needed to know. And then now Nina jumps in. What about Sonny? And they looked at her. This has nothing to do with you. She goes, it has everything to do with my marriage. What about Sonny? And you Bensonhurst, blah, blah, blah. And then she's trying to talk about Lois, you intentionally, you butted your nose in where it didn't belong. And she said something else to Lois. And Olivia, because first she was looking at Lois, sniping at Lois. And then as Nina is talking, Olivia's kind of like, so she turns facing Nina. Now she and Lois are facing Nina, and she goes, hold up, hold up. Let me tell you something, Nina. You were so busy trying to keep Sonny away from Carly, you didn't care. So busy trying to take Carly's children away from her. You ran around, and Olivia's like, you did X, Y, Z. And she goes, oh, I thought, out of everybody in town that hated me, that you didn't. She goes, I don't hate you, Nina. I don't hate you. She says, but you've caused destruction and you don't take responsibility for what you did. And so she goes, well, Carly and Drew did do insider trading. They broke the law. They broke the law. So I did nothing wrong. So Olivia looked at her. She says, Nina, you this upstanding citizen that has to tell on people that break the law, yet you married a criminal. And Nina looked at her. She goes, you know 100% Sonny's a criminal. He breaks the law all the time. But that's okay, huh? That's okay for you. And Nina was just standing there like, wait, huh? Right? She says, so don't you start saying what somebody else. I was gonna tell Sonny, I was gonna tell him that night. And Lois says, everybody says they were gonna tell when they get caught. Everybody says I was on my way to tell. She said, you weren't gonna tell. So anyway, Lois and Olivia go back downstairs, and Nina's just standing there. When she found out, no, Olivia clapped back on her, right? And it was almost like, I could yell at my friend, but don't you say nothing to my friend because you were letting my husband take the blame, right? And so when they got downstairs, Lois said, thanks, Liv, for what you said up there. She goes, look, I have been waiting to say something to Nina for a long time. So yeah, but then they end up making up like best friends do, hugging each other, hugged each other twice. So they were cool with that. So let's go to comment corner. Comment corner. We have quite a few comments. So I'm going to do my trusty, dusty, stop, watch. And this time I'm going to go from the bottom up because last time I went from the top down. This time I'm going to go from the bottom up. And Bernice says she knew where to go because she used to live in Paris, and that's where she met Spencer. And then Lisa says, I almost laughed at the thought of Laura pushing Curtis around in Paris in a wheelchair. That's just silly. And another Worley says, Portia's there for the pushing. And DB says, right, just stay at home and walk first. And then Lisa says, Portia is pushy, LOL. She would have gone, she would have to go too slow. Everyone She would be slowing everyone down to find Esme. And it really will be Curtis slowing everyone down. I could see them chasing Esme with Portia pushing Curtis in the chase. Ha ha ha. What I want to know is where's oh, you know what? Remember how I said, how could Laura and the crew get there that fast? Remember, Dante and Chase already have been on their way to Paris. Watch you, it's Dante and Chase on that boat. That's probably what it is. And then we have the next comment. Lucy says, finally, GH is getting so good. I never lost faith in this long running soap opera. Long live General Hospital, DB says. Every time you tune in out of obligation, they do something unexpected. Next up, which sister will end up raising TJ's baby? Alexis is very concerned. And then Lisa says, I'm hoping Molly gets to raise the baby. I think Christina will do the right thing and let Molly have the baby after she gives birth. And then Lucy says, maybe the Davis girls should have had their former attorney mom they should have heeded their former attorney mom Alexis's suggestion to put it in writing. Well, that's something they definitely should have done, but they did not. So we'll see what happens with that. And then we have Lisa says, let me see. Let me go up to the top of this comment because they're all at. Here we go. Wendy says, OMG, I was laughing so hard today. I was really glad to see Esme snap. Been waiting for this. Spencer brought it all on by giving her baby to the wimpy prince. Trina and Spencer acting like everything is so wonderful with a nut job on the loose, not staying in touch with the family. It's not like they don't know what she's capable of. I can't wait to see the next episode. This is getting good. And Lisa says, I'm glad that I see someone see that Esme snapped because Spencer gave her baby away. I've seen comments uh, that it's only because Spencer's about Spencer and Trina. No, it's about him taking her baby from her. Trina's the secondary source of contention for her. And then Wendy says to Lisa, yes, taking that crazy girl's baby was a bad move. I think Ace was the only thing that kept her together. Ace was like glue. Last week, Trina was in Esme's face talking smack about her and Spencer going to Paris with attitude. Yes, she was. I don't know why she said all that. And then Wendy says, yes, I saw that. And I didn't believe that she found them in Paris. She was only there due to Spencer's actions. Same way she didn't interrupt their New York trip when she had amnesia. The most I think she would have done is call Spencer about Ace, and Spencer would verify with Laura if she was telling the truth. Uh, Ace kept Esme in check. She would have called him saying, your brother is sick, you got to come back. She would have done something, but it wouldn't have been to the extent she's done now. And then Lula says to Lisa, if it's not about Sprina, then why go after them? Why not use the credit card to look for Nicholas? And then Lisa says to Lula, she would be going on a wild goose chase since she doesn't even know where to start. Spencer is likely to know where Nicholas and Ace is. I'm pretty sure Esme will use Trina to get her answers. She's already dislikes the girl. Esme wants her son. And yep, that's what she was saying the whole time today. And then Lula says to Lisa, I doubt she really wants her son. We're talking about a psycho, not a normal person. Yeah, now that she's into her whole like psychopath break, she's not thinking of her son because she's not thinking that her actions, what she's doing right now, would be barring her from ever being able to live with her son in peace. Her mind is just, it's now in, serial killer land. And then Lisa says to Lulu, Esme loves Ace. She even apologized to the man she knocked out and she mentioned her son. At this point, she's might feel she has nothing to lose. She might think if Spencer took someone that she loves, she would do the same to him, and that's Trina. In other words, he says to Wendy, I agree, taking her baby away, and Trina popping off in her face brought back Esme as we know her. Another Worley says to Lisa, this Esme is about revenge. And then Lisa says to another Worley, I agree. All right, that was some great exchange there, ladies. And then Brenda says, my lady, you're right about everything you're saying. Thank you. The writers weren't thinking, but this is GH. Like they weren't thinking about them leaving all that stuff with Esme. And then Lisa says, I disagree. Laura's not at fault. Spencer is as at fault for giving Ace to Nicholas. Ace kept Esme grounded, so he is paying the price. Trina doesn't know that Portia was pushing Esme and Spencer together to spend time together. She did, so she doesn't have clean hands either. That is true. And then Emily says, no, Portia doesn't have clean hands, but a clean heart to rid her daughter of the troubled Cassadine curse. And then we've got P. Merle says, okay, why would Spencer take Trina to any of the same places he took Esme? I'm not buying this. Esme has no money, but she managed to get to Paris, buy drugs. I know. Did she pay for a drug dealer with the credit card? How did she not pass Spencer? Wait, how did she not pass Spencer? Spencer will save Trina regardless. I pray for this the end, for this the end of Esme as we know her. Well, Esme ain't gone. And then another world, he says Spencer took Trina to the place he had never been before. That was for dinner that he had never been before. And Esme stole the company credit card. Wait, do you know you can get cash using a credit card? Yeah, you can. Um, the and remember that she has access to drugs, but in Paris, because she sure couldn't take those drugs on the plane. Um, we're familiar with the situation of her history with Trina in the cabin and the bartender. She nearly killed the one that sold her the cell phone to record the sex tape of Trina and Josh. And then Lisa says, if Spencer's favorite place to go, he would wait. If it's Spencer's favorite place to go, he would. He he's being with someone else in the past to that same restaurant or place. It doesn't matter. Esme would Esme used the Invader newspaper's card from Paris. She has the pin. She can withdraw money for the drugs. Yes, Alexis did mention she has the pin to that card. LaShawn says Eden McCoy is returning February 1st as Jocelyn Jacks. Excellent. So that's tomorrow. And DB says, oh, goody. And then Pixie says, I love Spencer and Trina. Someone please tell me if Ironside is going miraculously get up from his wheelchair and kick some butt. I doubt it. AK Rose says, even though Spencer showed Trina around Paris, the places he had never been before, he probably made the mistake of taking her to the hotel that he spent time with Esme in the past. That could be true. And Emily says, exactly. He did something familiar and Esme nailed him because of it. That is true. And then Yolanda says, I think that it's Oz's baby. I don't think so. I also wonder how Esme found exactly where Trina and Spencer were. Desiree says, Trina and Spencer, save them, please. And the parents saved their daughter. We live you. Well, it must mean we love you. Be careful. Okay, and then Linda says, I believe it's Alcazar. So must be believe it's Alcazar that sold the drugs. All right, everybody, that is 10 minutes. 10 minutes of comment corner. I'll be back tomorrow for another daily recap of General Hospital. All right, come on, General Hospital.